following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
Hello and welcome. You're watching News 9. I'm Shweta Kothari. The war between Israel and Hamas has entered 45th day. There is no end to fighting in sight. Israel is now looking to expand its operations into southern Gaza, while a deal to release the hostages still seems very far away and unlikely. Let's take a look at top developments on the war front so far. Israel has released CCTV footage claiming hostage taken to al-Shifa hospital on 7th of October. IDF claims it found a 55-meter-long tunnel under al-Shifa hospital. Israel and Hamas are close to releasing a deal, a hostage deal, reports are now suggesting. Premature babies have been evacuated from al-Shifa, transferred to southern Gaza. Yemen's Houthis rebel have hijacked a cargo ship, and Joe Biden has rejected mounting calls for ceasefire in Gaza. Over 12,000 Palestinians have been killed in the war so far, according to Gaza Health Ministry. And Israel on Sunday published a video claiming it has uncovered a tunnel shaft under the al-Shifa hospital in northern Gaza. In a statement, the Israeli army said it found a 55-meter-long, 150 feet, 10 meters deep tunnel under Gaza's largest medical facility. The army published a video on its official Telegram channel showing a soldier making his way into the tunnel. The footage was shot with two separate cameras on 17th of November, according to the report released. The video shows a staircase leading to an arched concrete passage that ends in what appears to be a door. The army says it is the entrance of the tunnel shaft with a blast-proof door and a firing hole. Now, this type of door is used by the Hamas terrorist organization to block Israeli forces from entering the command centers and the underground asset belonging to Hamas, the military said in a statement. The statement, however, did not mention what was beyond that door. The tunnel was found, and I quote, in the area of hospital underneath a shed alongside a vehicle containing numerous weapons, including RPGs, explosives, Kalashnikov rifles, according to the statement. The Israeli army on Sunday also released a video showing a CCTV footage of what they claim were Hamas terrorists bringing in hostages from Israel into al-Shifa hospital on 7th of October attack, the day when Hamas carried out their deadly attack on southern Israel. A video aired by chief spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari showed a group of men frog marching an individual into hospital, while a second clip showed an injured man on a gurney. Now, Hamas is yet to comment on the claims made by Israel. However, 240 hostages, remember, were taken in during Hamas's deadly assault on southern Israel on 7th of October.
We've also gathered more intelligence from the hospital, proving that Noah Marziano was not the only hostage taken by Hamas into Shifa hospital. I will now share concrete evidence of hostages. One from Nepal, one from Thailand, taken from Israel during the Hamas massacre on October 7th. The world must remember, Hamas is holding the elderly, men, women, children, babies, hostage. The Israel Defense Forces has a moral obligation to bring every one of our hostages home. We will not rest until we do. Hamas was hiding and murdering our hostages in Shifa Hospital. Hamas was building terror tunnels underneath Shifa Hospital. By now, the truth is clear. Hamas wages war from hospital, wages terror from hospitals.
And as ongoing clashes persist in northern Gaza, Israeli forces and Hamas militants are engaging in a furious battle. Israel's relentless aerial bombardment, initiated in response to a Hamas attack on 7th of October, has led to occupation of significant territories in the north and the west of Gaza City. Despite these advances, pockets of intense resistance from Hamas continue to pose challenges, particularly in heavily urbanized areas such as Gaza City, Jabalia, and the beach refugee camps. Listen in.
Fighting raged on Sunday between Hamas militants and Israeli forces in parts of North Gaza. Israel has bombarded the area with a devastating aerial blitz since Hamas's October 7 attack. Its forces say they have taken control of large areas of the north and west around Gaza City. But guerrilla-style Hamas resistance remains fierce in pockets of a heavily urbanized area. That includes parts of Gaza City and the sprawling Jabalia and beach refugee camps. Witnesses reported heavy fighting overnight between Hamas gunmen and Israeli ground forces trying to advance in Jabalia. It is the largest of the enclave's camps with nearly 100,000 people, most of whom rejected Israeli appeals to evacuate to the south. There on Saturday, civil defense forces and civilians were digging through the rubble, searching for survivors of an Israeli strike. Due to a lack of equipment, they are forced to use their hands, said one ambulance worker.
As you can see, a military bombardment hit this place, making this huge crater. Now we're standing above the rubble, where 15 people are trapped. 3 bodies were pulled out, and we are currently searching for more.
Gaza's health ministry says Israel's constant bombardment has killed 12,300 people, including 5,000 children. That's after the Hamas cross-border rampage in which around 1,200 Israelis were killed and 240 taken hostage. On Saturday, the Washington Post reported that a tentative deal had been agreed for the release of dozens of women and children hostages in exchange for a 5-day pause in fighting. This was, however, later denied by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and US officials. Nevertheless, on Sunday, Qatar's Prime Minister said the main sticking points blocking such a deal were very minor and mainly practical and logistical issues.
And Yemen's Houthis claim to have seized an Israeli ship in the southern Red Sea and taken it to a Yemeni port. The announcement came from group's military spokesperson Yahya Sarriah in a televised statement on Sunday. Now, Israel previously stated that Iran-aligned group had seized a British-owned and Japanese-operated cargo ship in the same area. A US defense official mentioned awareness of the situation, stating that they are closely monitoring it. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office has clarified that the ship, unnamed, had been seized, but it had no Israeli connection or crew on board. Now, earlier on Sunday, the Houthis declared that all ship owned or operated by Israeli companies or carrying the Israeli flag could be targeted. Meanwhile, Japan said on Monday it was seeking the early release of crew members from the British-owned and Japanese-operated cargo ship that was seized by Yemen's Houthis in the southern Red Sea.
نفذت القوات البحرية في القوات المسلحة اليمنية بعون الله تعالى عملية عسكرية في البحر الأحمر كان من نتائجها الاستيلاء على سفينة إسرائيلية واجتيازها إلى الساحل اليمني. إن القوات المسلحة اليمنية تتعامل مع طاقم السفينة وفقا لتعاليم وقيم ديننا الإسلامي.
船員に日本人は含まれていないと報告を受けています。政府としてこのような行為を断固非難します。現在、国交省、外務省等の関係省庁が情報収集を進めつつ、関係国と連携しながら、当該船舶及び船員の早期解放のため取り組んでいるところであります。
And displaced Gazans in Khan Yunis are questioning what is to come next as Israel prepares to expand its offensive against Hamas to the densely populated south. The tent city near Nasser Hospital now shelters thousands who have been displaced. Gaza's health ministry raised its death toll from the unrelenting Israeli bombardment to 12,300 people, including 5,000 children who have been killed so far. Israel's aggressive actions have left significant portions of the north in ruins. About two-thirds of Gaza's 2.3 million inhabitants have been forced to seek refuge in the south. The situation remains dire, and the displaced residents anxiously await what the future holds for them amid the ongoing conflict. In Khan Yunis, Palestinian children are struggling to find moments of relief from the horrors of the war in Gaza. The sounds of laughter and delight filled the air as youngsters were caught on camera playing on swings and slides amid the ongoing war. However, the grim reality of the ongoing conflict is never far away. The toll on children is staggering. Nearly 5,000 young people have lost out to 12,300 Palestinians who have been killed so far since 7th of October assault, according to Gaza's health ministry. Palestinians in the besieged strip are facing dire conditions, reporting shortage of basic supplies like diapers, baby formula and food. Hundreds of thousands, including displaced children moving from northern Gaza to the south, are seeking shelter in the UN schools but have limited access to essential supplies. Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani expressed optimism about a potential hostage deal between Israel and Hamas. He mentioned that the remaining challenges are very minor and primarily practical and logistical. The Washington Post also reported a tentative agreement involving Israel, the US and the Hamas to release women and children hostage in Gaza in exchange for a 5-day halt in fighting. However, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the US officials have denied an agreement.
One horror doesn't justify another horror. And the pain that you inflict to the children of others will not justify, never, will not compensate for the pain that your children have been suffering. But the contrary, it will create a violence spiral that will come once and again unless we got a peace, a sustainable peace. And that's why the European Union has called for immediate humanitarian pauses. And the United Nations Security Council, under the request of one member of the European Union, Malta, and with the support of France and Germany, members of the European Union, adopted a very important resolution asking for immediate, urgent and sustainable humanitarian pauses.
When you come closer to the goal, you feel your confidence levels are increasing, and we hope that we are reaching to that point. The sticking points, honestly, at this stage are more practical, logistical, not really something represent the core of the deal. The deal is going through ups and downs from time to time throughout the last few weeks, but I think that I'm now more confident that we are close enough to reach to a deal that can bring the people safely back to their homes, whether they are the hostages on Hamas side or whatever the exchange that will take place from the Israeli side.
The Israeli army on Sunday released the names of 3 more soldiers killed in the battle in the northern Gaza Strip since Saturday evening, bringing the total to 65. The Israeli army announced on Sunday that 380 soldiers and officers had been killed since 7th of October, the majority of whom were killed in a surprise attack on Israeli military bases and towns in the Gaza Strip on 7th of October. The official Israeli Broadcasting Authority reported on Sunday that 60 soldiers were killed in the ground operation in northern Gaza Strip since 27th of October. A Saudi aid plane departed from Riyadh carrying aid and relief supplies for Gazans on 19th of November. The aircraft has been scheduled to travel to Egypt's Arish airport in North Sinai. Meanwhile, ministers from Arab and Islamic countries have announced a visit to China on Monday as a part of their tour aimed at ending the war in Gaza. And shifting focus now, in downtown Buenos Aires, hundreds of supporters of Javier Milei filled the streets echoing his anti-establishment mantra, and I quote, "Out with them all," amidst blaring rock music and celebratory honking. Argentina took a bold leap, electing the right-wing libertarian Milei as its new president on Sunday. Voters, fueled by frustration with the political status quo, handed Milei a decisive victory, with him securing 56% of the vote, surpassing his rivals just over 44%. Global leaders congratulated Javier Milei for his election victory. Reactions started pouring in on X, formerly Twitter, from the current and former Latin American presidents. Let's also take a look at how South Americans have voted of late. Argentina has elected far-right leader Javier Milei as its president. Previous elections have thrown pro-left government in continent. For instance, in Brazil, Lula da Silva took the office in fact, January of 2023. Similarly, in Colombia, in Chile, governments from left wing have also been elected.
Hoy empezamos a dar vuelta a la página de nuestra historia y volvemos a retomar el camino que nunca deberíamos haber perdido. Hoy se termina el modelo empobrecedor del Estado omnipresente, que solo beneficia a algunos mientras la mayoría de los argentinos sufren. Hoy se termina la idea de que el Estado es un botín a repartirse entre los políticos y sus amigos. Hoy se termina esa visión de que los victimarios son las víctimas y las víctimas los victimarios. Hoy retomamos el camino que hizo grande este país. Hoy volvemos a abrazar las ideas de la libertad, las ideas de Alberdi. El modelo de la decadencia ha llegado a su fin. No hay vuelta atrás.
And the world is facing twin crises of climate breakdown and runaway inequality. The richest people, cooperation, countries are destroying the world with their huge carbon emissions. Exclusive research published in The Guardian reveals a startling reality. 12 of the world's wealthiest billionaires collectively generate more greenhouse gas emissions through their lavish lifestyle choices than what 2 million homes produce annually. The elite group, featuring Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Elon Musk and others, contribute nearly 17 million tons of CO2 and equivalent greenhouse gases each year. Their luxury purchases, super yachts, private jets, extravagant properties, combined with financial investments, amount to emission equivalent to powering 2.1 million homes or the output of 4.6 coal-fired plants. The study estimates the lifestyle emissions of billionaires by analyzing their extravagant purchases, like Jeff Bezos' recent 500 million super yacht crafted by Oceanco. This mammoth, 127-meter-long vessel, crowned as the world's largest sailing ship after 3 years of construction, produces a minimum 7,154 tons of carbon emissions annually. A disturbing trend also emerges as the richest 1% of the world, including 77 million individuals like billionaires and millionaires and those earning over $140,000 a year, account for 16% of all CO2 emissions in the year of 2019. This disparity does not only exacerbates climate inequality but also poses dire consequences for vulnerable communities at large. Using a mortality cost formula which links carbon emission to excess deaths, the report projects that the emissions from top 1% alone could lead to approximately 1.3 million heat-related deaths in the coming years. Now, to put this into perspective, the emissions generated by this elite group from 1990 to 2019 were equivalent to erasing the entire harvest of EU corn, US wheat, Bangladeshi rice and Chinese soya beans from last year. The repercussions of this environmental impact disproportionately affects impoverished communities, marginalized ethnic groups, migrants, women and children. These vulnerable population, often living or working in conditions exposed to extreme weather, bear the brunt of the suffering. It would take an individual from the bottom 99%, approximately 1,500 years, to match the carbon footprint of the wealthiest billionaires in just a year. Now, Oxfam advocates for significant measures urging hefty wealth taxes on super rich and windfall taxes on fossil fuel companies. These actions aim to provide support to the most affected, diminish inequality and finance a shift towards renewable energy. If no action is taken, the richest will continue to burn through the carbon we have left to use while keeping the global temperature below the safe limit of 1.5 degrees Celsius, destroying any chance of ending poverty and ensuring equality. Proposing a 60% tax on the income of top 1%, Oxfam forecasts an annual revenue of $6.4 trillion. Such a tax initiative could potentially reduce emissions by 695 million tons, surpassing the entire carbon footprint of the UK in 2019. And with that, it's a wrap on the show. We'll be back after a very short break.
Literally every major power in the world is gearing up with its own digital currency. And so is India. But India's UPI has taken digital transactions to the next level.